Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys Board Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we are here with a post-Christmas, pre-New Year's review episode. So we're putting in the effort over the holidays so that you don't have to spend time listening to your family. You can just plug in those earphones, tune out.
Well, now everyone's done with family things. It's like the Friday after Christmas. Everyone bailed out the day after Christmas.
I mean, some people go home for like an extended period of time.
Yeah.
I used to do that. Anyway, this week we are reviewing the Grizzled, its expansion, and its new release, all three in one big shot. So we'll be talking about all that stuff.
Also known as the Grizzled,
The
at
Grizzled
your orders
at your
expansion.
orders, and the Armistice edition.
Yes.
So yeah, let's jump right into it. The Grizzled is a 2015 release from designer Fabian Rafaud and Juan Rodriguez. Artist is Tignis, and it is published by a bunch of different publishers, but here in the United States by Simon Limited. It plays 2 to 5 players and takes about 30 minutes. Zach, do you have a rules overview for us?
Yes, I do. In the Grizzled, you are trying to survive World War I with your friends. Each mission, you can play trial cards into No Man's Land or hard knocks onto yourself. Trial cards come with environments and traumas, and if there are ever 3 of the same symbol in No Man's Land, you lose the mission. Hard knocks add negative personality traits to your characters, and getting 4 will cause you to lose the game. When you run out of cards, or you don't want to play a card that'll fail the mission, you can withdraw and lend your support to another player. Gaining the majority of support lets you remove hard knocks. If you have no cards left in the draw deck and your hands, you win. But if the card reserve deck ever runs out, you lose.
Yeah.
Sounds so simple.
Sounds so simple, so easy, so lighthearted. I mean, friends surviving World War I in your opening line there just makes it sound like it's a fun little role.
Childhood friends.
Childhood friends. Yeah.
From a French village.
Yep.
The real game, however, as I'm sure we'll address, maybe not so light. Let's go over to initial thoughts. Jeff, what were your initial thoughts way back however long ago it was that you played the Grizzled for the first time?
It was so long ago, I don't really remember how I found this game or bought it.
Yeah, it's hard to remember life before
The podcast.
Yeah.
And this was definitely pre-podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember when I picked it up. I remember it was like co-op like card game where you like match symbols in World War I, and that's really all I remember.
Were you playing
about
it before you came to game night?
I believe so.
Okay.
Just bought it so long ago that
Yeah.
it's hard to remember.
What about the Armistice edition, since that was a lot closer time-wise?
For the expansion, I was like, I love the Grizzled.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the expansion.
Yes.
And for the Armistice edition, I was like, I have all the game already. Fuck the Armistice edition.
Uh-huh.
And then you got it for me for a Christmas present. Because I really just wanted the Armistice edition to be like a campaign separate thing and not come with the base game. Because I didn't want to buy it all over again.
Right.
And I wasn't going to, but then I got it as a present.
Yeah.
Right on.
I do remember buying it at Black and Red.
No.
That's all I remember.
So maybe not.
He lived right near Black and Red before.
I lived a lot closer.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
I was here for a whole year and then left for a year and then came back.
Yeah.
That's right. I forget about that.
Yeah. I lived here first.
I'm the same way as Jeff in that it has been so long since my first play of this, I don't really remember what my initial thoughts or anything going in were. I think I'd heard that it was a somewhat dark co-op about surviving the traumas of World War I with your friends, and that it was a fairly hard co-op. I think it was probably one of the earlier co-ops I played back when I was first getting into the hobby. But yeah, not a whole lot else from it. I'm sure it had to have come from you, Zach. I mean, 2015 release. We started game night in
I don't own the game.
2012. You don't own the game?
No.
Oh, then I have no idea who I first played it with.
It had to have been me.
It might have been you.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Yes.
Zach, what about you? Can you remember any initial thoughts from back in the
I'm not gonna
the
lie.
before times?
I'm not gonna lie. I have no idea. I do remember loving the game whenever I first played it. And then when the expansion got announced, I was like, whoever has this game needs to get the expansion.
I think it was just me.
Yeah. Still. And then when Armistice Edition was announced with the campaign, I was like, that seems cool. And then Jeff was like, I want it, but I'm not going to buy it.
Nope.
And I was like, all right, well, that sounds like a good Christmas present to me.
Yeah.
The best Christmas presents are, I want that, but I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Because I want it and I'm going to buy it. Usually means they're just going to buy it.
Yeah.
And then you send the message out, and then that person will be like, well, I'm just going to return your Christmas present now.
Correct.
Yep.
Well, after that stunning and riveting initial thoughts segment,
A game that we've played for a long time, and we don't remember the first time we played it.
It has been a staple of the gaming group.
correct.
So now we can finally rip it to shreds like we always wanted.
Yeah, just really dig into it.
Fuck you, rulebook.
Yeah. A World War I game not about America. I am annoyed.
I'm angered.
Yeah. So how are we going to be doing? So technically,
let's review the Grizzled.
Okay.
Then we'll talk about the expansion. Then we'll update folks on the Armistice Edition.
And then whether or not you need that if you have it and all
Correct.
that stuff. Okay.
And then we can maybe even just do our final thoughts after all of that.
Okay.
Normally we do our the game and then final thoughts and then talk about expansions and add-ons and all that shit. For this particular one, we'll do it the game, the expansion, the new edition, final thoughts.
Yep.
Everything else. So there you go, listener. That's your roadmap. That's what you can expect to hear.
So
Buckle in.
So if you only care about if the Armistice Edition is worth buying, just zone out for a good hour or so.
Yep.
That's why we got timestamps, people.
Yep.
Indeed. So here we go. Starting off with components for the Grizzled base game that came out in 2015.
It's basically just a card game.
Yeah. It's a bunch of cards. There are some little standees.
Standees are in the expansion.
No standees in the base game.
Yep. It was just
Oh, shit, you're right.
Just the cards.
It was just your character cards.
Yeah.
And then you had a
little punch-out speech tokens.
Yep. And then you had a leader of first player token.
Yep.
Yeah.
Standee.
That's right. That's the standee I'm thinking of.
Yep.
But yeah, mostly
And
just
then
cards.
Yep.
And then there was a player, a punch out player aid that was double sided.
But we never used it, so.
I would use it for
Oh,
learning,
yeah, I remember that thing.
teaching people
Well-
these are your actions, because it had all the actions easily listed on there.
Yeah. I vaguely remember it existing. I don't think I ever really used it.
Yeah.
Probably why I played wrong for a year.
I
Yep.
think we've all played. This is one of those games that we have played the most wrong the most,
Yes.
but still continued to play and didn't notice that we were playing it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything we've learned that was wrong, we're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
And then
Still good.
everything that we learned wrong, they just made the actual rules in the expansion.
Yes.
Several of the things, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's for rules.
Yeah.
And this
Yes.
is components.
Yeah.
So Jeff, you've had your copy for a while.
Yes.
I still do not have a copy. Zach, you still do not have a copy.
That is correct.
What's the wear like on your copy?
The wear on the card, the trial cards is there's wear. I mean, you shuffle it a lot.
Yes.
But it's generally been holding up fine.
Yeah.
The first player standee's getting kind of loose. The bottom, every time you pick it up, the bottom comes off. Then you have to go set it up next to the next person.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely showing some wear and tear. Not the best quality cards that you've seen.
But at the same time, it's a 3-year-old game that's been played.
Yes,
A lot.
significantly.
Yeah.
They're not
It's
falling
held
apart.
up, yeah.
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 Yeah. Not a lot of other components.
The bunch of those support tokens.
Yeah.
The left, right, double left.
They're fairly clear.
Little punch outs. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Art's good.
the art
Art's-
is fantastic.
Yeah.
Art's phenomenal.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like you can't talk about this game and the art without mentioning the fact that it's got kind of a sad story behind it.
Yes. Tignis was part of the Charlie Hebdo
Paris attack.
Paris. Well, he was part of Charlie Hebdo's. That's the name of the magazine.
Yes.
That was attacked, and a lot of the people there killed, and he was unfortunately one of them killed.
Yep.
So that's why this. But this game has absolutely phenomenal art, but it's sort of been the same art through all of these different versions because, how could they get someone else to do that style?
Yes.
Yeah, he has a very distinctive style, and he did even when he was at Charlie Hebdo. And so that's kind of a sad underlying, as if the game wasn't kind of sad enough.
Yeah.
Because it is based, the characters that you play in it are based off of actual real characters or not real people. Who fought in World War
But they
I.
were real characters.
They were real characters. Mr. Bushy Mustache. But yeah, they're based on actual soldiers who fought in World War I. And as we'll talk about in gameplay, like kind of a lot of the theme of this game, and that it's not like a war game, it's not a fighting game, but it really captures kind of
of just trying to survive.
Just trying to get by.
But the gorgeous art goes from the cards to the character portraits all the way to the box. Like outside printed, inside printed, all art covers every inch of everything in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very like stylized, kind of unique, cartoony art, but still does a good job of
the game's
being
got
serious.
style.
Yeah. And then it's for anybody who's seen the box, it's a small box. It's not a big box, doesn't take up a lot of space.
It makes it perfect for getting out there to various game nights and transporting. The only slight complaint I have is on the Hard Knocks, it's all in a very stylized cursive. In general, you know how to read it, but sometimes it can take some time for certain people that aren't familiar with that kind of flourish of writing.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
But that's all there really is. And as we've played the game so much that we don't even need to read the card to know what it is anymore.
So, I got this thing called Fragile. Just don't play it. Just put it back up in your hand. Nope.
Take it back.
Take it back. Take it back.
So that's it for arts specifically. 10 out of 10 on that art, though.
Yeah. Art, components, all that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So on to rules and rules explanation. As we kind of mentioned during some of the intro stuff, we've played this game wrong a lot. And for a long time. It seems like we're constantly learning something that we were doing slightly wrong or slightly different. And that could easily be the case with this review. You might start talking about this game and people like, you're still not actually playing it right. That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll just learn, we'll adjust, and we'll probably keep playing it.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So the rules are a little tricky. They're not all in some areas they're stark clear and we just fucked it up. In other areas, it can be a little confusing as to how exactly things are played. I don't even know where I'm trying to remember some of the rules mistakes we were making way back at the start.
So there's the different phases. The morale phase is the one we screwed up the most to begin with, which is where people can clear up hard knocks. And we played it where you could clear up your hard knocks and refresh your good luck charm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either or.
Yeah.
Also, speeches were supposed to be discarded every time you use them, so you could only ever have 5 total for one game.
Removed from the game.
Yes.
Not because we played it like when you use your speech, you discard it back to the box or
into the
pile.
Yep.
And somebody else could draw it later. Another thing along with speeches that is the most recent thing that I learned about that we'd been doing wrong was they can be used to discard not just traumas, but also hard knocks.
Not just threats.
Not just threats, but also...
But the traumas and phobias that are those
phobias,
threats.
yeah.
Yes.
This is another game where it uses a lot of different words and
Yeah.
terminologies for things.
And then also, one of the first things we got wrong was when you used a speech, it was other players, not yourself.
Not also yourself.
Because you'd always be like, I want to do this one because I know I have this to get rid of it, and it's no.
And then during setup, everyone gets a left and a right, and then a random one, not
just
3 random ones.
Yes.
I think that hits most of them that we've kind of screwed up. Because I think everything else is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Just sort of getting out all of the cards are threat cards, but some are hard knocks. And some of those hard knocks are phobias and traumas.
There's like a branching tree of all of these are this, but not all of this are these. And yeah.
Oh, and then I think we even screwed up when you withdraw, all of your phobias go with you and aren't part of the mission anymore.
Yeah, we definitely had fucked that up for a while. So it's funny, some of our fuck ups were like, this makes it easier on us. Some of our fuck ups were like, this makes it harder on this. And that's part of why, as we fixed each one, it's always kind of just shifted and balanced right around the perfect medium of tough but not too tough.
We've always played the spirit of the game correctly.
Yes.
That World War I was awful for everyone.
Threats are a thing in the game that are on certain cards. There's a little red box that has the outline of the back of the card on it.
Traps.
That is when you play it, you just flip over another card, and you're royally fucked when it comes out.
You can choose to play with them or not.
We mostly play without them because the game was getting to the point of ridiculousness in how difficult it was with traps.
Well, especially if we're playing with new players.
Yes.
Yep.
And when we're playing without them, we're just like, ignore it, because they always ask what it is.
Yep.
And then there's even a hard mode where instead of starting with 25 cards, you start with 30 cards in your trials pile. And you know what? They're all trials cards.
Yeah, it's trials, and
then they have threats on them.
Exactly, yes. That's why it said traps.
Yes.
Because that's what they are, not threats, yeah.
Yes. But they're all trials.
Once again, getting shit wrong.
Yep. And also, it's whistles and shells, not...
Or whistles and artillery.
It's like, it's not bullets and whistles. They even have an asterisk in the rule book, like the whistle, they blow the whistle, and that lets you know to go over the top to start charging into no man's land against machine guns.
Yep.
And then the shells are, the constant artillery barrages that you will have to go through.
And the gas masks are?
For all of the wonderful mustard gas and chlorine gas and things that you get piled onto you.
World War I, yay!
Hooray! Yeah. And then there's night, snow, and rain as environments as well.
And then there are cards that normally the cards have a trauma and an environment, and
a threat and
threat and environment.
Yep.
But some can have multiple environments and no threats. Some can have multiple threats and no environment. And some can have multiple threats and multiple environments, including a card that has one of everything.
Yep.
Which is don't ever play that card.
Yeah, just don't. Just keep it in your hand.
Keep it in hand. Someone's going to do a speech and just immediately throw the card away. It doesn't matter. Or treat it legacy style and just rip it up.
Maybe not go that far. What would really suck is if you throw down a trap and then that card comes out.
And you're like, fuck you.
Yep.
So why would you actually want to withdraw on this instead of just playing all your cards?
So one of the things we haven't mentioned about the game for rules and rules explanation wise, all information in your hand is secret.
Yes.
You're not allowed to tell anyone what you have. You just sort of can guide other people into what you have or don't have in your hand by being like, I have to withdraw or we're going to lose. And so you can be like, oh, what's out there? Oh, it's this, that, whatever.
Yeah, it was, to my feeling, probably not accurate, but like when I think of co-op games with limited information that you can give to other players, this was one of the ones that really like took off with that, really like dialed it all the way up to where you're often quite hampered by what information you can give to other people. And that can be a little frustrating.
But them's the rules.
Them's the rules. You don't know what you're afraid of. You don't know what traumas or horrors are coming. You just have an idea.
One thing to also emphasize in the game is you're playing the game to get to the end of the war.
Yes.
That's the game. But each hand is a mission, and you can win or lose that mission without losing the game.
Yes.
You just don't get as many good things, and you get a lot of bad things.
And you win the mission if you once everybody withdraws. It's not like you don't have to play all your cards to win the mission.
No.
But you fail the mission if you play too many cards. By getting 3 of a kind on any one of the threats.
Yeah.
So if say you have only night cards and 2 night cards are out there, then you're just gonna be like, well, I have to withdraw. And then withdrawing gives you so you do support, because support is the only way for people to get rid of those hard knocks.
Yeah.
And that's once again, we can be like, hey, Jeff has these 2 hard knocks, we should support him. But if I have one of the supports and I don't have anything pointing to him, I can't be like, well, I can't support Jeff, so I'm going to do Adrian instead.
Yeah.
And that's another thing where hidden information can make the game harder.
Yes.
Another rule that I think we have screwed up at one point or another, there's only a certain amount of speeches depending on the player count.
Yeah, well, because I think that went back to when we were initially playing wrong, where we didn't realize they were discarded from the game. We thought they were just in the pool, so we didn't realize that they're also limited. Like they're super limited.
But you're only supposed to have 5 at 2 and 3, 4 at 4 player, and 3 at
Yeah.
5-player. And I guarantee we've definitely played with 5 at 5-player before.
Yeah. When you play right, because I've definitely played it with, as far as I know, all of the correct rules from all of my mistakes. But like the speech thing gets hard. When you play a 5-player game, like you're really, really trying to like, I'm gonna wait until like I'm certain this is going to be as useful as possible.
Yeah.
Can't think.
Your threat for the mission or your difficulty. I don't remember the intensity of the mission is something that was always hard to teach people. That is, you're the mission leader. You get to say how many cards each player is going to get this round. After the first round, it has to be 3. Every following round can be 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them, like whatever you want.
But you have to start with yourself.
Yes.
As the leader.
Yep. So intensity was kind of a thing that was solved in the expansion.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, that's rules wise,
Yep.
I guess.
Which brings us
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, it's and especially where like, you know, trying to remember what were we doing wrong, what are tricky rules. Like we've had like 3 years to really refine our understanding of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so moving on over into gameplay. This is a game, and this was I think this was a good example of one for me. It was one of the first times. You know, I was still fairly new to gaming when this came out back in 2015. Like, I'd only really been board gaming for about 2, maybe 3 years-ish. I don't remember exactly when in 2015 I first played it. But it was a one that really, like, managed to, without being a thematic game,
The theme was brought out.
The theme was still brought out and still very apparent throughout. Like, you're not shooting guns back and forth. You're not, you know, getting into the intricacies of trench warfare in World War I or artillery barrages or any of that. But they still do a good job just the way they handle the different threat cards and phobias and hard knocks and all of that really comes together mechanically to entrench this feeling of like, fuck, we're just trying to get out of this. Like, you know, and the way you play your hands and not being able to communicate what you have. And you're just hoping that you can all play as many cards as possible. And then, you know, most every mission succeeds when everybody's withdrawn. So it's like, you're not even trying to win your individual encounters. You're just trying, again, to survive. Like, the whole game really brings that home. Like, we're just trying to survive, to get by, to not lose our shit. And then at the end of the game, the way it tells you that, like, you can then go around the table and, like, the phobias and hard knocks and things that you have are like the things you take home with you.
Oh, great.
And just imagine, like, how that will affect your life.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm a shell-shocked mute for the rest of my life after World War I. And, like, you know, you kind of chuckle about it when you're here in the studio and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm just fucked. But then when you're playing, like, it's one of those things, like, again, the art style and just everything about the game really kind of, you can still have fun with it, and you still laugh about, like, the cards fucking you, and it's fun to play, but it has that, like, underlying darker tone to it that just, like, man, this was fucked up.
Yep. That's pretty much what that's a way to describe World War I. Yep.
Yeah, it seems so trite saying it on a podcast. But
that's a real hot take that you're spitting there, Adrian.
Adrian with the hot takes. World War I was bad, okay? No, but that's...
No, I mean, you're not wrong.
It does a great job of that. You know, like, I wouldn't go so far as to say you feel... It's not like Black Orchestra that we talked about, like, you know, you get the Crystal Knocked card and you're like, sweet, that's a great card. And that's an odd dichotomy feeling.
I am now more motivated to kill Hitler.
Yeah, like that one for me, like some of those in that game really I felt the dichotomy of like, I should not be nearly as happy about this as I am.
Well, that's because that one, so that's more specific. This is more abstracted, but it gives a better tone of the whole thing, I think.
I think that's a good way of phrasing it. Like, this just does a great job of bringing that general vibe to the table.
Because I mean, when you're playing a card, you're just playing whistles and gas masks and then like snow and stuff like that. And the No Man's Land and Trial, like you're not like, oh man, I heard another, I heard they ordered us to go up there again, but this time at night. Like you're not doing that. It's just you play.
They specifically mention in the rule book this doesn't touch on the warlike aspect.
Yes, exactly.
You're matching. You're trying to not match symbols.
Yeah,
that's the game.
Yeah.
An
interesting kind of aside from that is like I think even the first few times I played, I didn't realize the whistles. Like they're one of the ones that, like, okay, I get why rain makes you unhappy, night makes you unhappy, snow makes you unhappy. Artillery shells, sure, make total sense. What the gas masks? Okay, what whistles? What's the whistles were like the signal to like charge across no man's land to try and take the other trenches. Like, so you're about to just jump up and try to sprint into oncoming fire and hope you don't die. And
most of you will.
Yeah, and that's terrifying. But that was one of those things, I didn't make that connection initially. I don't remember who it was who was like, oh yeah, that's what the whistle is.
Yeah.
But even now, like still years later, teaching it, sometimes people are like, why the fuck are we afraid of a whistle? Everything else makes sense. Why are you afraid of a whistle?
Right.
Because that means you're getting out of your trench and you're charging.
You're afraid of assaults.
Yeah. I do think, though, that it's actually because it's more abstracted, it makes it easier to handle maybe, or it's like just to introduce it to someone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're just trying to survive. You're just doing these things. And because if it got deeper into it or anything like that, it's like
Now imagine artillery fire for 5 days and just maybe dying.
It's heavy enough abstracted. If it was any less abstract, it'd be like one of those games where like people would talk about it as being a great game that really evokes it, but nobody would ever want to fucking play it.
Yeah, there's definitely some games like that you're just like, because there's one game about
Liberty.
No, it's about World War II and bombings in Japan and about trying to survive in that. And I watched Rado do a run through of it, and I was just like, oh my god. It's like, it is an experience.
And we'll come back to more of this theme in the Armistice edition.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Another game that I've heard is kind of like that. I haven't played it yet, but I've heard that Liberty, the Underground Railroad, that's the one I thought you were about to talk about.
I was going to say that one, but
I've heard that one carries the theme very heavy.
Yes. No, yeah, that one. Oh, it's only because that one I had seen more in its bombings in a thing. Like, I was like, this feels more relevant.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's there are definitely some games that can take heavier themes,
which I think is a really good thing.
Yes.
But those aren't the kind of games that like you're like, I'm gonna bring this to game night every night. It's like, no, I'm gonna find the right group and the right setting, and like we're gonna all know that we're getting in for a soul crushing experience.
Yes.
As we address a heavy issue, whereas the Grizzled keeps it abstracted enough that you can bring it to a game night and just play it, and
it's a don't match the symbols game.
Yeah.
Don't get 4 lightning bolts.
You'll still like kind of have that feeling as you're playing of like, man, this kind of sucks, but it doesn't like beat you over the head with it.
Yeah,
and it comes across because the game's hard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
a big part of it. Yeah, as all good co-op should be.
Yeah.
Anything else gameplay stuff? What else you got?
Use your good luck charms.
Yeah, use your good luck charms when you can.
It's the only real positive thing you can do on the game.
Exactly. And then also when you are supporting someone, it sucks when you tie because nobody gets
anything. It's the worst.
And so that's where I feel like the game is definitely harder with 4 players than it is with 3 or 5.
I feel like you're more likely to tie with even.
Exactly. Because the only way you're gonna get a tie in 3 or 5 players, especially with 3 players, is if everybody just hands it all in one direction.
Yeah.
But with 4, it's especially if there are some of the hard knocks that are like you have to choose it randomly or something like that. It can easily match 2, and then you're just like, well, we're just gonna keep having these hard knocks, and some of these hard knocks are so much worse than others.
Yes.
Some of them like mute is just you can't talk and you also can't give speeches, but otherwise nothing else happens. Some are when you withdraw, you just do support randomly. When you withdraw, you get rid of a support from the game.
Yes. Because there's only that amount of support in the game that you start with.
Yeah.
And if you start tossing them, you're just ripping up options.
Or there's a card where I can't withdraw unless I have less than 2 cards in my hand. Or there's a card where nobody can withdraw unless I've withdrawn or they have no cards left in their hand.
Which is absolutely brutal.
Yeah. And then so obviously
I
that's
guess
where,
we lose the mission.
yeah, that's where knowledge of the game definitely helps because we've definitely cheated when there's a new player and they just put fragile down like first thing. It's like, no, you put that back in your hands.
Do not do that.
You wait until we get we can make sure you get support or other bullshit because that is not
like you're going to be the last person in the mission or something.
Yeah. And then it's just don't fail a mission in this.
Just withdraw.
Yeah, because if you fail, all of the cards that are in the trial deck go
so
right back on top.
Everything in No Man's
and No
Land.
Man's Land goes right back on top of the trials deck.
Yeah, which can be out of your hand if you're playing with traps and you just like, well, I have to play it.
No, but if everybody has like 2 cards, you're playing with 4 people.
Yeah,
and then it's 8 cards you have to add in addition to all those, and then you're just like, this is because then you have to start taking more cards. But then it goes real downhill. So
it all falls apart.
Yeah, be overly cautious in this game, but know when you can make that push because there are cards that'll tell you to like the traps and other ones. It's like basically a trap whenever you withdraw. But if there are no cards in that trials deck, then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
and it's the same where if you do the intensity of 2, but there's only 5 cards and you're playing with 4 players, the leader gets an extra card, but nobody else get one. So, knowing when you should play those hard knocks and whatnot is paramount for the game, I think, and that's where you definitely experience helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As with most tough co-ops.
Yes.
Learning how to actually play and balance the good and the bad and where to make the tough decisions.
Yep.
I think that's all I got for gameplay.
Yeah, I think so.
There's 4 actions you can make in the game. Play a card, use a good luck charm, use a speech, withdraw.
Yeah,
not super complicated.
Yep.
So let's jump over then to the expansion and the new edition. We'll start off here with At Your Orders, the expansion. It's a 2016 release from designer Fabian Rifaud and Juan Rodriguez. Artist still is Tignis, and published by Simon Limited, 1 to 5 players. Time not provided by publisher on this one because it doesn't really change the time frame.
It's the same.
Zach, do you have a rules overview for us?
No, because I didn't know we were doing this. So
yeah,
want. But we'll just.
I wasn't going to ask you anyway.
Yeah,
and then
whatever. It's fine. We'll just get into it in rules because it's an expansion.
Yeah, we won't even go through all the steps. We'll just talk about it a little bit here more abstractly.
I was very excited for the expansion because I really liked the game.
Yep.
And then that's my initial thoughts.
That's what all of us were.
Yep.
Yes. Like I said, I don't think we need to even go through the steps on this one. We can just talk about it very abstractly. Big things that it adds.
It adds standees.
The 1 to 5, so it's a solo. Solo.
It added standees now for everybody, so you can actually tell at a glance who is in and who has withdrawn.
Yeah, because the only way before was do they have a support token out on their person?
Yeah.
And now they have a person that can be in No Man's Land and then out of No Man's Land.
Yep.
Yeah.
Solitaire play.
Yeah, the first thing I mentioned there.
Yeah.
New rules for 2 players.
Because you could play it too, but it was just the game.
It was a little bit
weird.
Yeah, because the way it went just straight back and forth. Yeah. And then probably one of the biggest changes is the mission cards.
Absolutely the game changer.
I was going to say, I thought it was going to be all those rules that we were playing wrong, where they're like, we'll just do that.
And
there was one major case of that.
The major case was now when you get support, you get your good luck charm and you get to teal 2 hard knocks cards instead of choosing.
Yep.
And then speeches are unlimited, and then the missions change up a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Intensity.
There's no more intensity that the mission leader has to choose because you choose mission cards.
But the missions tell you. So you'll have 2 missions. You draw 2 missions on your turn and you choose one of them.
And then you put the other one
back.
Yep.
So you're just kicking that can down the road for somebody else to deal with. But they tell you what the intensity will be, how many cards you're gonna spread out.
Yes. And then there's a new setup for you get 12 mission cards, and then there's a difficulty that you can do, like 4 easy, 8 normal is beginner, or 4, 4, and 4 for easy, normal, hard, or 2, 4, and 6 if you want difficult.
Yep. And then there's also a I'll get to that later. We'll get to that later, probably.
Yeah. And now this is sort of the new mission, or this is the new timer on the game, because you can still lose if you get to the statue, if your morale deck runs out.
Yes.
But then if you run out of mission cards, that's also bad.
Yeah. They do give you 2 missions. That's like, if you feel like you're going to fail on the next one, it's like last stand or final assault sort of thing.
Like you will, which changes to where you can you lose the mission if there's a 4th threat, but then you technically all die, I think.
Yeah.
And then there's another one where you just deal out the rest of the deck into everyone's hands, and this is it. You get rid of all your cards or it's over.
Yep.
It's like last stand, final assault.
Yeah, that's what it is. The mission cards do a variety of other interesting things. Like some of them just add a
it's not just
threat.
Here's how many cards you get.
Yeah, so like the take cover one that I've got pulled up here. Add 1 shell to this mission, and then you just the threat is 2, or the intensity is 2 cards. But then other ones, like there's a good one, the good news, transfer 1 card from trials to morale. There's other really, really bad ones, like exhausted. At the end of this mission, support tokens are not given out. Support does not happen.
And that's not even the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst is like tank and big fort and small fort.
Where you have to actually spend shit to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Tank, every time a hard knock is played, immediate morale drop of 1.
Yeah.
And either 5 snow or 5 artillery to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's pretty...
Bogged down. Place the first played threat on the bogged down card. The threat will be active also during the following mission and cannot be discarded. Horseshoe. Good luck charms may remove 2 cards of the corresponding type.
Yeah, so there's
a mix.
Like the easy ones that are like, whistles can't be, you can't fail due to whistle.
Yep.
So then I was just like, fucking get rid of those whistles.
Yep.
Some of them are just a flat, always the same intensity. Others are maybe like,
depending on how many
2 or
people.
3 players, there's 3 cards. In 4 or 5, it's 2 cards. Add a little bit more variability, uncertainty, but also an interesting like level of structure
and another level of stress, because you're like,
yes,
all right, well, this tank one, I'm just gonna put it on top of there. We're gonna have to deal with that at some point. This is not gonna be good.
Yeah. But you don't need to get through all of the missions to win.
No,
you still
that's
just
correct.
need to get through to the piece and get rid of all the cards in your hand.
Yep.
But the mission does add a nice level of structure to the game where you don't have to worry about deciding which cards are good or bad. And then it does change based on player count, how many cards you get per mission.
correct.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And then another rule change that we missed is when morale drops, it's based on how many cards in your hand. There's now a maximum of 6.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big change.
Yeah. That was a rule change they did in the expansion.
Okay, because I remember that happening once or twice when we'd fail with like everyone had 2 or 3.
It was like a trap card that came out early and totally fucked us.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, you had 10 cards in there. We're fucked.
Yeah.
I think that makes trap cards more viable.
Yes.
Because in base Grizzled, trap cards are like, I don't know how the fuck you ever win when you play with trap cards. But yeah. So that's everything from At Your Orders. The Armistice edition came out this year.
Mere weeks ago.
Released in 2018. Same thing. Designer Fabian Rafaud, Juan Rodriguez. Artist is Tignis. Publisher Simon Limited. 1 to 4 players and about 45 minutes. All the same stuff, Zach. I assume there's no rules thing because, of course, there's not, because this is just a re-implementation.
Well, and I want to say this too. For the longest time, when people were like, man, Simon, all they do is just fucking minis. You'd just be like, Grizzled. It's a great intro game. No minis in that one. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
They upgraded from cards to standees. Now they have minis.
Yes.
Pre-painted.
Yep.
Arguable quality on that.
I would say like the majority of it is good, or service like good.
The faces are the only thing that are
wonky.
Yeah, some eyebrows are a little
hairy.
off.
Yeah.
But everything else on them is good.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than I could do in a fucking mini, that's for sure.
I know. I've seen some of the zombies you painted.
Hey, I did one that was good, okay?
Yeah, so I actually haven't... I've seen it briefly because Zach got Jeff and I Christmas gifts and was like, here, Adrian, here's your and Jeff's Christmas gifts. And I was like, oh, that's the Armistice edition. It's in a shrink wrap box. I can see the minis in the clear plastic window.
Yep.
Thus concludes my experience with the Armistice edition. You guys have played it a couple times on the Tuesdays that I haven't been... Well, I haven't gone to any of the Tuesdays. And I think you played it like one time on one of the couple Wednesdays I wasn't there.
This last Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we'll go down a little more of a traditional thing on here because I can remember a little bit more of this.
Yes.
And chit-chat a little bit at the beginning. We heard about the campaign, and I was like, ooh, a campaign, that will be cool. And I was thinking this will just be a campaign expansion. And then when it came out that this is the base game and the expansion and the campaign. So if you want it, you're just buying all of it all over again. And then I was like, I don't know if I need to buy $50 worth of Grizzled for just the campaign.
Yeah.
And then you got it for me for Christmas. So now
yeah, because I was like, I want to. I was like, I know we're gonna do a review on the Grizzled at some point.
Yeah,
and it'd be nice if we had this because this just came out, and I know Jeff wants it, but I know he's not gonna buy it.
Yeah,
and
I was disappointed that it was not a standalone campaign.
And
thing.
You know what? I'm right there with you too. But I was like, I'm willing to buy it for you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Components wise. It's basically take anything that you've bought from the Grizzle before and throw it in the garbage because this comes with everything that you would need.
Yes.
Changes they've done, all the tokens are bigger, so all the support tiles are bigger, all the speeches are bigger. The leader token isn't a standee anymore; it's just kind of like a flat tile. It's in a really nice box with a divider, a bunch of divider tokens for the various chapters of the campaign.
Yeah.
A bunch of tokens that do various things with the recruits and stuff like that are come up in the missions. Now each player gets a quick reference token.
Yeah.
The player count on this one is different, I think. I don't think it's 1 to 4 now and not 1 to 5. So they did drop a 5 player.
Yeah.
But there still is 6 different characters in the game, of course, because each one of their good luck charms is a different threat.
Yes.
And then there's 9 chapters and boot camp of sealed cards.
Of basically going through the war.
Yep. You start at boot camp.
Which is if you've never played the Grizzled before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does have an oversized rule book. Well, not oversized, but much bigger than the previous rule books.
Yes.
In size. The boot camp sort of just starts you off, and then like you go to chapter 1 if you know what the Grizzled is, and really you could go to chapter 2 if you've played with the expansion because that's really all that it's adding. But the one thing that is really cool that it adds is story, history. Yeah,
history of giving you. I don't even know if I'd say story as much as it's giving you context.
Yeah, like it has dates, it has events. It looks like really cool like newspaper clippings on the back of the cards. It's kind of in like a legacy deck sort of order. And then if you've played Pandemic Legacy, it's very similar to that. Like take this chunk of cards and put it in there.
Yeah.
It has very specific rules that you should follow.
And you should
remember to follow.
Remember to follow and know that mission is different than game.
Yes.
Or chapter.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So many times. I think the biggest thing I learned out of this was not to trust Jeff with cards with conditional conditions on them. That are like, when this thing happens, do this.
Yes.
And then at the end of the chapter, which is basically the end of the game, Jeff was like, oh, yeah, we should have done this like, I don't know.
A while ago.
5 minutes into the game.
Yeah. It was things like when you finish your first mission, flip this card, and then it was like, oh, now it's the Christmas truce, and you get the Christmas card, and then you put the Christmas card.
But he read it as when you it was when you finish the second. It was when you finished the second mission.
Yes.
But you read it as when you finished the second chapter, which is what we were on.
Yes. Finish the game is how I read it. Yeah.
And so we're like getting these cards, and we're like, that doesn't make any sense. What are you talking? And then it's just like, oh, and I looked at it and I was like, God damn it, Jeff, this says mission.
Because the game tells you to put things in a very specific order. All the cards are numbered in Legacy style. So missions will go through how the game wants you to go through them to sort of tell a story. I think one of the ones introduced like
and I do want to say that
gas attacks or something.
Yes, I do want to say, just for clarification too, that it's I would say more campaign style than Legacy style.
Yes, it is very much a campaign, but the way you go through the cards is like a Legacy deck, but there is no shredding. There is no things that you'll unlock or like a box you'll open or anything like that.
So like unlock compared to exit.
I have not played unlock, but
you don't just try everything out. Unlock, you can just
I
once
do know
you solve
that
the puzzle, you're done with it, but you can just give it to somebody else and they can still use it.
Yeah,
that's exactly how this is.
Yeah.
But all the cards are filled with flavor and things like that, so you get more context of what events are actually happening as you move through the game, through the campaign. And then there's 9 different chapters, and at the end of that, there's a score. You have various helping hand cards that you can get depending if you win or lose.
Which are one-time uses for the most part.
And you get those based on how well you do in each chapter. If you lose, you can get another different thing. Like if you lose, you can get an instructor that can take some hard knocks so you don't throw them onto the...
Or you can ban a card if it lets you, which is basically literally get rid of a card that is still in play, basically, to try and make it a little bit easier. But they're like... It can make it easier, but it's going to give you negative points because there's a section that's victory points and negative points. And if you lose the game, any of those helping hand cards you would have gotten get thrown in that negative points bin. So,
but otherwise, it's a pretty standard Grizzled.
We are we got chapter 4. We got done to chapter 4, and there was only one new thing,
which was recruits.
Which were like,
which I think is actually from either the 2-player or solo mode. Has something kind of similar to that, but nothing like how much this is expanded on it.
Yeah, but like the next one is going to be involving traps and stuff like that. So,
and then there's a new type of like anti-trap or something.
Yeah,
it has a shred symbol, but don't shred it.
Yeah.
But no stickers or anything.
No.
Legacy-wise. But
exactly.
So far, an enjoyable campaign experience.
But not that... It doesn't feel that different than... Like, it feels like we're just playing the Grizzled. But with
as it's introducing stuff.
Yeah.
They did change the mission cards a little bit. They're called, like, Order of the Day cards. But I think that's because they're structuring them. They haven't asked us to shuffle any of them yet. So... That's kind of how they make you feel like certain things are happening in this era of World War I by making you go through those similar events. That's the Armistice edition.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, now that we've covered basically everything, I'm sure there's little bits we forgot here and there because that's been the tradition of the Grizzled.
Yep.
Is just not doing things right until you do and then finding something else you didn't do right. But I think we have a good groundwork here to jump into some final thoughts. So the way we'll do this, and I'll start. Let's talk about our our final thoughts here.
Our initial final
thoughts about the Grizzled. Then go into our advanced final thoughts about the expansion. And then after I'm done, because I haven't really done it, you guys can both talk about how you feel about the Armistice edition and whether it's worth the extra little bit.
Or a lot.
I mean, it's not that much more
honestly,
than
40,
just the two. So before we do final thoughts, just because for this one, I think it makes sense if we're doing a, is it worth it? I'm going to do real quick cost and availability.
Okay.
So the Grizzled, pretty widely available online. Base Grizzled is available from about $15 to about $20, depending on where you get it. $37 for that base set and expansion. The expansion is available in a few places for $10 to $12. So you're looking at probably $25 to $30 for the base set and the expansion together, depending on where you exactly get both of them, what your shipping options are, yada, yada, yada. The Grizzled Armistice, which includes both the base game and the expansion and pre-pen and minis and the campaign and all of that, is available not widely, but in a few places for about $43. So for you two, when you get to your final thoughts, whether you think that extra $10 to $20 is worth it for getting the Armistice edition. But for my final thoughts, I love the Grizzled. It's a great game. Even just the base game. The couple rules that we played wrong that they changed in At Your Orders, if I was just playing base Grizzled, I'd still just play with those rule changes. Namely, the unlimited speeches and the support removing both your hard knocks and renewing your good luck charm, rather than having to choose between them. Yeah, I really, really love the base game, especially even just without the traps, without any of that. I think it's a really good game. I think it's tough enough for a cooperative game. The traps push it that much further, are incredibly difficult. As far as the At Your Orders expansion, I don't have a ton of experience with it, but I like where it's headed. I like, especially from an introducing it to new players' perspective, taking away the decision about the intensity, I think is actually a really good thing. Like, it's your turn as the leader. You draw those 2 missions and you pick one, and then that's your decision. You make that decision.
Yeah, it still gives you a choice, but you also don't have to then worry about intensity as well or anything like that. So.
And so that way you don't, because every time I've taught base Grizzled to new players and one of them is the person deciding intensity, they're like, how many should I do? And it's like, well, I don't want to tell you how many you should do. How many do you want to do? What do you think? Like, you make a decision. Like, if you think we're in a good spot, you can talk it over a little, but ultimately I want it to be their decision. I want them to have agency. I don't want to alpha game and be like, you're new, you better only do intensity to where we all draw 1 card.
Unless it's fragile, then
right.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So I think that the mission cards are really good for that. I do like that they mix in some good ones so that it's not just a constant beatdown of oppression. There are brief glimmers of hope. The standees are really nice, like we talked about. Makes it a lot easier to see who's in, who's out, especially once you realize that withdrawing pulls your phobias out. When you start playing correctly, those things become more important. Yeah, I really like them both. I think the expansion adds just enough new things that are actually useful and broaden the game that I think it's definitely a worthwhile addition to the game. I can't speak to Armistice Edition personally because I have not actually played it, but I'll leave that to you two. Jeff, what do you think? Actually, no. Jeff, since you have everything, we'll save you for last. You'll be the definitive answer.
Yeah, that's what it's going to break it up, because Zach's going to be like, fuck this game.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Now I need to break the tie.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And side with Adrian about
because Zach's agreed with me far too much.
Yeah. I feel dirty.
Yeah.
So, The Grizzled, great game, just like you were saying. It's a great co-op game. It's a great intro co-op game, but it's still seasoned players would still get good use out of it. I think it uses the theme well. With the expansion, it just makes it better. The missions help. What you were saying before, it helps with newer players, but it also gives you more decisions, more harder decisions to make, but also restricting your choices too. Yeah. The standees work well. All that stuff's still the same. Heartily recommend both of them. And I think if you do get the base game, just go ahead and get the expansion too. Maybe play one game without it, but if the first one sounds interesting to you, or if the base game sounds interesting to you, then just go ahead and get the expansion, especially at the lower price point. But the Armistice edition adds sort of a wrinkle in here because, unfortunately, or I don't know if you want to say it like that, when you open up the game and you're like, oh, there's a campaign in here. It's not like, here's the base game, but then also here's the campaign if you want to play it. No, it's here's the campaign, but then when you're done with the campaign, you can then play the base, or you can play the regular game.
When you're done with a chapter or two, you'll have it for the most part. But
I mean, that's true, but still, it feels it felt a bit weird to be like, okay, now we have to do this and this, and now we can actually set it up if we want.
And I want to say in the rule book, it tells you what you need to open up to just get the game out of it.
That is true. That is very true, but it's still how it's presented is here is the campaign you have to play in order to actually do the game.
It's like if you opened up Pandemic Legacy and there was rules to be able to get regular Pandemic out of it, but you had to go into these boxes and punch out this and that or whatever. You could technically.
You could technically,
but
yes.
you'd be tearing the game apart.
Yeah, yeah, right. And then, but I do like the minis, and I think they did a pretty good job with the paint. Some things
they're big.
They're big. I feel they work better than the standees because they feel like they still feel like it still feels like the art on the minis, even though they're 3-dimensional. I would say it's worth it if you don't have the game at all and the campaign sounds interesting to you. If the campaign doesn't and you don't have it, just stick with the game and the expansion, the base game and the expansion. If you have the game and the expansion, only get it if you're like, man, I am dying to play a Grizzled campaign, or you just look at those minis and are like, I really want those minis. Because it's $43 is not a low amount, but I feel like it's not a terrible amount for the game. I think it's a great deal if you don't have the game at all. But I would say also if five players really matters to you too, then stick with the base game and the expansion, because like we were saying, the Armistice edition is only 4.
Yeah, and I wonder if you could just play it with 5.
I don't know.
Because I don't think the only player difference
you don't have the mini, do you?
No, you have 6 minis.
There's 6 minis.
Yeah.
Because you still have the 6 characters. Because they all have the threat for the good luck charm.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to look to see if any of the not traps, but the missions or anything like would change or anything like that. So you probably could do it, but the fact that they decided to bring it just to 4 players is weird. So I'm curious, like if just for I don't know, but I think it's the Armistice edition is worth owning if you don't have the game. Like if I felt like I needed to buy it, if I felt like I needed to buy the Grizzled, I would probably just get that. But I can understand people not caring about, if they don't care about the minis or you don't care about the campaign, definitely it's not worth it. Just go with the smaller boxes. It's cheaper and it's it's smaller boxes.
And you can fit the base game and the expansion in either of the boxes it comes in.
Exactly, yes.
Which is what I did. I put everything in the expansion box.
Yes, that's 100% true.
Right on. Jeff, wrap it all up. Put a bow on it.
Okay.
It's Christmas.
I'd say just rewind like 5 minutes ago and then just listen to Zach say all those things again.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll from this point, I'll just cut Zach's thing and
just put it right here.
Yeah.
Just imagine the person that's speaking has a man bun, and then you've got Jeff.
Grizzled is fantastic. It's more fantastic with the expansion. Get the base game and the expansion. There's no reason not to have both. If you don't already have them, just get the Armistice edition because it's everything you need it to be. It's got a cool campaign in there, especially if you've never played before. It's got a good tutorial in there that we just skipped, of course.
Yeah.
It has that extra layer of theme in there where you actually get some weight to the events that are actually happening. It's only just a couple sentences, but it adds like a ton more like this is what's happening now. This is what's happening, because the base game originally was just like, this is the whole war, but it was so abstracted.
And what you guys are saying about the Merry Christmas card, like not if you don't know that it's based on the break in 1914.
Yeah.
That you're just like, oh, we have one good card that's about Christmas. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, giving context with the story can definitely help.
If you had the Grizzled and at your orders, I'm not sure the Armistice edition would be a good purchase, just unless you kind of want to buy it all over again, which kind of sucks.
What you do is you buy it and then you give the
base game
and the expansion to somebody else and be like,
somebody else who likes the game and wants the game.
I like the game.
Yeah.
So
but I do have to say the base game and the expansion are cheap enough to be like, if you don't want to spend the money on the Armistice edition, feel free to just get the base sets. So far, the Armistice edition is cool.
Yeah.
Like we have said before, I don't think I would have bought it for myself.
But you're
Christmas
glad you have it?
gifts are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's nice to have.
Right.
It's just more of the game with some new cool stuff that's in there.
Yes.
Thrown in a campaign version's pretty cool. Plays pretty much the same, and in new little things in there like the recruits. The one thing I do wish that the Armistice edition had was similar to like I think Kaiser had brought this up. If it had reminder tokens for something like Pandemic Legacy had, where you hit certain marks and it's like, oh, we're at the purple mark. That meant something. Oh yeah, we have to do this. It would be nice if there was some more of a trigger there besides putting the card on like No Man's Land. Just be like, remember, this is a card. It's in the middle. Look at it. So yeah, that's the Grizzled.
Indeed.
Adrian, as someone who doesn't own it and likes it, would you buy the Armistice one, or would you rather just go for the just the base game and the expansion?
I'm torn, especially in my current financial state.
If someone was like, I'm gonna buy you this,
Armistice.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
I'd rather just have it all in
Okay.
one cool box with some minis and have the little bit of campaign.
You can just pretend it's the base version and not use the minis and just
Exactly, yeah.
guesstimate who's
Yeah.
in and out.
I
of the
like the
mission.
minis. I like minis. I don't like when minis become the sole focus of a game. I'm
This is
fine in
certainly
this
not-
case. Exactly.
The minis in this are very
they're accoutrement.
yes.
All right, one more question. If someone was like, I will give you $30 towards these games, and that either means you can have the base games for free or spend 10 or 12
I would spend $10 or $12.
All right, then. All right. So there you go.
If
The only way
wish-
I would not buy the Armistice is exactly in my current plight where money is an issue, and if I could get the base set for the like bare minimum of 12 and the expansion for the bare minimum of 10, so I'm spending 22 for the combined base game and expansion versus 42 to where it's like a $20 difference.
Yeah.
That'd be the only way, and that's
Okay.
only because money's an issue for me right now. Money not being an issue, normal old Adrian has a reasonable, steady job that has a decent paycheck, I'd buy the Armistice.
Okay.
I ultimately wish they would have done the campaign slightly different, but I can understand how it's built that they had to sell it like this.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And I get torn on this because I want games to be accessible and bring new players in. So things even like Harry Potter, where like the first season of first like year of the Harry Potter
First
deck
3
builder
years.
is like first 3 years.
Or
Really,
first 2, really, but yeah.
is like, oh my god, it's just teaching me basic deck building. I know basic deck building.
I mean, but that worked great for my mom because she had no idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
and I want games that can really serve as a good entry to board gaming while still like either advancing to bring people really in, like, hey, this will start you, and then by the time you finish, you're kind of like, this type of board game, rather than it be like, this is a gateway game. Once you have any reasonable knowledge of board games and are remotely into it, you will no longer ever be satisfied by this again. I don't like that. So I like games like Harry Potter, Deck Builder, and the idea of the campaign, I haven't played it, but the idea of it that it starts you very basic.
Yeah, like
and
it's
it
like
works you in.
15 trials cards.
Yeah.
And then chapter 1 gets you the rest of the deck, and then it adds missions, and then it adds recruits, and then it adds this.
So I like the idea of that.
Yeah.
That it can really bring somebody who's never, like, you could conceivably give the Armistice to somebody who's never played board games, who's just like a World War I aficionado, like, which is a thing in America.
Like Peter,
there are
like
people
Peter
who-
Jackson.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically, that documentary came out today when we were recording.
Oh, nice.
And it's only showing 2 nights, the 17th and the 27th.
Oof. Yeah. So that's going to bring everything to a close. We can, at least everything from the review portion.
Yeah.
So now we can get over to the BGG thread.
Yes, we
For some
can.
listener feedback. Got that pulled up there?
Yes, I do.
Right on.
First one is from Robert. I own the original and the expansion, so I don't really see a need for it. Note that this was said that we were reviewing the Armistice edition, so that's where a lot of the context will
Correct.
be. So, the minis look nice, but these alone wouldn't entice me to purchase this. I'm glad that they stuck in some new content instead of just combining the base game and the expansion along with the new minis. I've only played the solo game a few times, and it was quote unquote fun. If you consider getting kicked in the balls fun.
Yeah. It's definitely that kind of game.
It's extremely tough and didn't leave me with a desire to play it with anyone else.
I've fairly similar feelings.
Did you play the solo?
I never played the solo or the 2-player in the expansion, but
Okay.
more of the thoughts on the Armistice edition, owning the original already, sort of just like, what am I? Do I need to make the complete reinvestment for $40+?
Okay, and it looks like he's saying that he's only played he's only played the game as solo.
Yeah,
Is what it sounds like. Okay, you definitely should try it with someone else. I think that it adds to it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I also haven't played it solo, so I don't know. And this may be like, man, this is the same fucking game. But
yeah,
I don't need any of you fuckers anymore.
Get the fuck out.
Paulo replies to him,
not in his corner.
not in his corner. Yeah. Like you said, if it was only for the minis, I wouldn't get it. Like you said, if it was only for the minis, I wouldn't get it. But this box contains much more than just the base game and expansion plus minis. So I just sold my base game and expansion and bought this version, just waiting for it to arrive. It should be here next week. Love the game, so more content to it is good news. Just hope that it'll be at least half as good as what he as what he already had. I'm confused. Less games, so more content to it is good news. Just hope that it'll be at least half as good as what it already was, I guess. Like it's trying to say, like the new content will be as half as good as the content that was already there.
Mm.
If so, it'll be awesome. I guess that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah?
All right.
I'm a little
Okay.
confused. I
Uh,
assume there might be a little bit of lost in translation occurring here.
love this game. Love this game so much. God damn it. Love this game. So more content to it is good news. I just hope it'll be at least as half as good as what was already there. And if so, that'll be awesome. I think that's a good move too. If you're interested in the new one, selling or getting rid of your old copy to give to somebody else or whatever, and then getting this one too is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you could sell it for $15 to $20 to then go towards the Armistice, that'd probably be worth it. In my book.
Lance says, "What is in the Armistice edition that is not in the base plus expansion?" Well, it's the campaign and the minis, and then
The recruits. Well, that's all part of the campaign.
yeah.
And then there's a new card type, which is like the anti-trap thing.
Right. And then just, how anything involving the campaign and stuff like that.
It's really just the campaign.
Yeah.
Campaign minis, components.
The following is not actually from anger or frustration, but observation. Do you ever feel like it might be smarter to not get any game, wait 3 years, and get the edition that had been upgraded, cleaned up rules, more balanced, improved art, promos included, additional content, etc.?
Yes.
I get that. Especially in video games.
Well,
Yeah.
dude, I won't touch a new video. Like, I don't remember the last time I bought a video game new. Like, especially since I mostly game on PC. Steam sales, man. Don't ever pay full price for a video game. But even board games, like, I'm increasingly, anybody who's been paying any attention in the Slack channel, I am reaching peak disillusionment as 2018 draws to a close. So yeah, I am increasingly feeling that way, Lance. Like, even things like that I love, like, you know, we talked on Wednesday about the Kickstarter from Eagle Griffin for Iron Age, and you can pick up all of their games. I could probably buy my entire fucking Eagle Griffin catalog through that Kickstarter for nearly what I paid for the one I have, plus get all the other new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, waiting seems like a strong plan. Plus, then you get to find out what's actually good. What actually doesn't just, it's hotness, it's new, it flashes.
Then you also don't get to play it, though.
If I don't play a mediocre game, did I really miss out?
I'm trying to think of some way to turn this into ripping on 18XX. But
Just to say it doesn't come with all the components.
it's been existing for like 30 years. 18XX is a known great thing.
But are they all great, or is there a mediocre 18XX?
I think most of them are at least considered. Well, it depends. Like, if you don't like 18XX, you're not going to like any of them. If you like 18XX, I think you're going to like most all of them. I don't know. Ambi, message us on Slack. Tell us whether or not there are bad 18XXs.
for someone that has the base and expansion, what would I need to have? What would I need to have the same experience as the Armistice edition.
The Armistice
the
edition.
Armistice
Yeah,
edition.
yes.
There's-
I'm sorry to say.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I wish they did have a spin-off where you could get it, but the way they build it, like you need certain cards in certain orders in certain
Which, I mean,
chapters.
you could technically do that, but also just
And it's
campaign's going to have stuff in it that this won't.
and the mission cards are actually different
Yes.
in this than they were in the originals. They modified or removed entire mission cards in this and added in some different ones.
I'm intrigued.
There is a really good post that is coming up that will explain this specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am intrigued to hear about the story mode that I think is part of the Armistice edition.
It's less of a story mode and more of a couple sentences per
Yeah.
chapter. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, each chapter has its own battle that it's supposed to be taking place at.
Yeah.
And it gives you some background on said battles and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's only a couple sentences.
Paulo responds to this one and says, "Here's a link that basically compares Armistice edition to the Grizzled and At Your Orders," which is what you were talking about.
Yes.
So
They go
if you're curious about that, go on our guild and go look up that thing.
Guild number 2731.
There you go.
Yeah, it goes picture by picture, card by card, compares everything in the game to everything else. There's some hard knocks that are in the Armistice edition that aren't in
Interesting.
any of the other versions.
Okay.
And then some of the hard missions got removed / changed.
That's good.
Yeah.
Last up is for Mark. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the solo mode. If any of you three, or your gaming group maybe, have played it. MJ. Well, our thoughts on it are,
We've never played it.
yeah.
I don't know anyone in our group who has either.
Yeah.
Jeff, try it out and then come back, report back to us.
We'll do.
I mean, or let me borrow, since I actually like solo gaming.
Nerd.
I'll happily do it and report back. God damn. Don't even feel like I opened myself up. That was just malicious.
That's
yeah.
it. That's BGG.
That's listener responses.
Yes, it is.
And we already covered cost and availability before we did our final thoughts. So it's available, both the base, the expansion, and Armistice. Whatever you decide you want after hearing this review. Yeah. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you had a great Christmas / holiday season, whatever holiday it is that you personally follow, even if it's just mindless American consumerism spread globally.
Your Kwanzaa's.
Yep. All of the aboves. We will be back on Wednesday with a normal banter episode following the new year. And then on Friday of next week will be our 2018 look back. Our first Friday featured episode in 2019 is going to be looking back to 2018. Zach has compiled another special list of awards to be given out. We'll be doing our top 3 games of 2018. As well as just other general look back and discussion stuff. So,
And our just other awards that we do too.
yeah.
So
Best art, component, gameplay, most disappointing, all of that fun stuff.
Please stop.
Huh?
yes.
Was there a Please Stop award in there at one point or another? I don't remember.
There wasn't last year.
Okay.
There may have been in the first year.
Ah.
That also might have been one of Zach's like special awards.
Oh, maybe.
I wouldn't mind just a most hated this year, just so I can really shit on Rising Sun one more time before the year's done. But yeah.
Well, what you do is you just throw it a number 1, just to be like, I put it here just so I could just rip on it.
Just so I could talk about how this is the furthest from number 1. It's so bad it wrapped around to number 1.
It passed through
The only
infinity.
joy I got from gaming in 2018 was despising Rising Sun. No, wasn't all that bad. The 2018 Rising Sun was.
I was gonna say.
Anyway, let's wrap this episode up. You guys all have New Year's weekend stuff to plan for, I'm sure, dear listeners. Have a blast. Have a lot of fun. Thanks for listening.
Oh, and get everything in by Sunday because we're not recording on New Year's Eve.
That is true.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. If you would like to get a hold of us, there are plenty of ways to do so. You can always send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
We have a Facebook, facebook.com/milehighgameguys. Our BGG guild is guild number 2731, where there are episode threads that encompass the Wednesday banter, the Friday review, discussion, whatever, all of that, all in one weekly post. Go jump over there. As we mentioned earlier, make sure and get on that quickly this weekend for next week's review / end of year discussion, because we will be recording on Sunday, not wasting any time. And then you can always follow us on Twitter. I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I'm Jeff_MHGG.
And there is pretty much always some type of interesting discussion / argument / well, really just one of those two things over on our Slack channel, which there's a link to in all of the show notes, which can be found on your podcast app of choice, or also, if not there, on the website, milehighgameguys.com. Yeah, tons of different ways to get in touch with us and interact with us and just fuck around with us. So do it. We appreciate listener feedback and interaction. Y'all are great.
Yeah, do it. Fuck around.
That is everything. So thanks for listening. Hope you all enjoyed it, and hope you've enjoyed your 2018. We'll see you again next year. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Ground Army Jeff.
Bye.
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 Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.